Okay, hi, and welcome. My name is Tim, and I am the author of this little book called Rust in Action. And as I've been going on, it's very close to completion now, and it's actually all written in text. I'm hopeful that it's legible for you. If the quality isn't sufficient, I could try and muck around with it next stream, or maybe even earlier than that, if anyone really complains. Now, where I'm starting is that I really want to improve the introduction of the book. You see here, I'll just increase the font size because maybe people can't see. What does it do? Yeah, font zoom in. Do that again. Actually, the very first draft of this was started in October 2016. It's gone through several iterations already, and I guess that sucks, but also that's just how things kind of go. I'll just change one thing because I can see that I've just... Yeah, okay. So now you should be able to see what I'm actually reading and writing. That's useful. Okay. So I really want to increase... I really want this to get to 5 years, but I can't really do that much. Okay, Rust in Action is so we're trying to make it really clear that all programmers can cut, if you have previous experience, that Rust in Action will be good for you. And locked. What's the difference between a locked preview? I guess it just means that it will stay in position, whereas this one will track the cursor where I'm at. So Rust in Action is a book for intermediate programmers of all backgrounds who want to explore the world of the Rust programming language. It is intended to people who have may have exhausted the free material on the web, but who still want to learn more. This book is not designed as a comprehensive reference material. I want to say that you're going to actually, we don't cover the whole its focus is on building your confidence, not on explaining every detail. It's a bit of shit though, because I want it to be positive. Its focus is on building a conference. At times, you may shy away from ego. That Rust. Where that is more accessible from outside of the book strong from the material. What is different from the other material in the Rust programming language? Rust programming, what do you hear quite a lot? Fuck. It's actually quite laggy. It's really annoying to type. I've got about a second delay between typing and actually seeing it on screen. It must just a good excuse to buy a better computer, I suppose. Yeah, come on. Oh, on key press. So, if you didn't know, I mean, if you actually using a syntax, I'll just check what the thing for spelling side. No, I don't want to disable spell check. I want to get a quick fix. Oh look, and now you've done the spell check and my spelling is correct. Thank you, Doc. I'm using ASCII-Doc, which is, so I'll just throw that in the chat in case you're curious about what I'm writing in. Manning is really interesting, and they enable you to submit. You can write in the tooling of your choice. You get a couple of options if you're a writer. One of them is you've got Word available to you. You can rock the Word docs. You can send in Google Docs even, and then there's this plain text format. There's also a relatively deprecated, but I think still supported option. At least when I started, there was for doing DocBook. An operating system. So, actually, here's a question for the audience. I mean, we have a very tiny audience, but which of these examples are really cool? Like, really, I really want people to nerd out on the book. We implement learning the children. That's a house in the center. Learning these topics will play. Learning language is challenging, but the rewards are immense. Here are some projects that you will work through to reach those goals. No, it doesn't really work. The award is immense. Here are some projects that you'll work through. Here are some of the projects that you'll work through to when kind of go on your journey. Learning language is challenging, but the rewards are immense. Here are some projects that you'll work through in this book. To I can't fucking stuck. Okay, it's probably just achieve them. It's a bit wanky. Actually, how about we cut the crap a little bit and just say some of the projects that you'll implement, and I'll just say CPU implement activity. That's in chapter 4 or 5. It's the data one. Let me double check. Chip 8. Chip 9. Yeah, it's chip 8. Okay, so that's chapter 5. Chapter 5 is a tricky one actually because it's really boring at the start but really interesting at the end. So if you make your way through it, you get rewarded. But not everyone makes it, so well, pretty awkward. That's chapter 7. Now we also do some other cool stuff. So I've got an operating system kernel, so that's cool too. I've tried to actually use a lot of visual examples for people that are probably haven't been exposed to creative coding, but it makes it way easier to get pictures up on stage, basically, or in the book. Memory scan, such actually. Oh, ignore that. I'm not going to that meeting. Oh, you didn't see that. We're just gonna cheats used to hack computer games. We shouldn't have that as the first one. Okay. What are we doing in chapter 3? Not much, I think. It's still really introductory. We figure out the borrow checker. What's that? Oh, okay. Yeah, so warning. This isn't a warning to everyone else. This is a warning to the person I actually, someone whose name I actually don't know, was really a really early purchase of the book, and I sent them a message and said, "Hey, look, if you want to look through so they bought it when there was only chapter 1 and 2, and I actually created them a PDF just of this one, and I kept the comment in there just kind of just to remind myself that some people have been waiting for 3 years or more for this fucking thing." Now, okay. Anyway, I think actually I'll just do this. Search the whole project. Memory scanner. Things I use. The word memory a lot in this book. That's awesome. I guess I don't need to be comprehensive operating system kernel. One of the chapters that's received really good reviews from my editor, or the technical editor, has actually been towards the end. I think it was chapter 10, where we create a project that enables you to parallelize the execution of code, and we implement it multiple times. We start single-threaded, and then we become more and more complicated. Now, this is a little... it's quite pretty, because it's SVGs, although... Right, let's just explain that it is an SVG. Surely I've got the actual image somewhere. A lot of... Actually, I'm just going to go quickly make a change in there, because this stuff here actually needs to move. That won't be very... the technical team, the production team won't like that, so I'm going to just kind of... Actually, I'm going to write that down. There's a thing I need to do. Formatting on chapter 10. Oh, yeah, okay. So the question is like, Sorry, I just saw that question on the chat. So, yeah, AsciiDoc is just like Markdown. It's much richer. So, AsciiDoc has a one-to-one mapping with DocBook XML. So DocBook XML is a file format that production book publishers understand and commercial print companies use, or at least they did when it was created. So it's actually relatively old. I think it was, but it provides a lot of extra functionality. It feels a lot like Markdown, but because I actually spend more time writing Markdown, what that ends up meaning is like I have this kind of impedance mismatch. Okay, so now that we're in here, what I need to do, one of the things that it provides are these callouts. And so if you've read the book, you'll notice that there are these bubbles. Now, I'm just going to into the side. Split. I can never remember all the key commands, so I'm not a pro. I'm not a pro VS Code user. Holy moly, that looks horrible. Where are we? Goodness gracious. Okay, so this is the one where I'm going to be editing. Just going to close down this guy because that's terrible. The production team, it doesn't. They like me, but also they like me because I'm selling a book that's pretty successful. But they don't like me really because they find, and I've got lots of ones here. That doesn't make any sense. They don't like me because most of their writers don't actually use this format. So if you haven't made your way through this, just for anyone, because there are kind of a couple of people watching, I'm going to see if I can pull up a rendered version of this. Oh, no, I'll finish the work that I'm doing. That's my whole point of being here. Otherwise, I'm never going to finish the book. It's quite distracting, actually, working with an audience. It's like people watching over your shoulder and you have no idea who they are. Operation orientation are enum types and defined later in the file. What? Are they? In the crate is what I meant. I'm just going to put later. Including them with use. I use keyword. Removes a lot of the noise from the source code later on. Okay, so what I'm doing, just if you're sort of relatively new to Rust, is this is kind of the grand finale of the chapter. So my chapters tend to start off with small examples, and they build up and they build up, and towards the end you kind of get this, like maybe even like a couple of pages. In this case, it's actually about 100 lines. What I'm trying to say is that with in this operation thing, I'm actually, if you've ever used Turtle Graphics or Logo, we're implementing a logo interpreter in the chapter. And the things that your turtle can do is move forward or turn left or turn right. It can return home or it can skip a turn. Skip a turn happens actually to be quite useful for one particular operation. Or it can, and orientation just happens to be kind of feels redundant given I've got turn left and turn right, but in order to turn left, or turn at all, I need to know which way I'm currently facing. And so so that's what that does. Now this is misnamed. I'm surprised that I got through. Okay, so 2. We've got width of an eye size. These kind of ugly constants. My feeling with Rust is that things that look ugly are actually there intentionally to look ugly. Like, you don't want global variables or global state, and and that's why constants look yuck. At least that's my feel anyway. If you haven't encountered Rust before, what you'll detect is, so this is width and height are both 2, that's useful. This one is actually 3. By the way, as I was making my way through this chapter, you get very, very close because your editor is constantly sending you emails like, buddy, when is this thing going to be done, mate? And eventually, you just throw in the towel, and it's not 100%, but you decide, look, I've just got to send it through, and you do. And so that's why we end up with these kind of weird quirks where the numbers aren't quite aligned, and it irritates the heck out of my readers, and I understand that. I would hate me too. But you know what? I've spent probably the bulk of the last 4 years, multiple times a week, working between 8 and 11 p.m. trying to get this thing done. And it's been a ridiculously slow process. It's so... Okay, so stroke width is appropriate for the output SVG. I'm just going to add a little bit of context there. So stroke width will allow you to it will define how each line is presented. I mean, it's obvious that it's a string. Okay, now, so we're at 4. Okay, so actually, what you'll see here is that these are actually it's like, I'll just move that up because that way it'll match. Orientation and orientation are the same thing. So I'm referring to what am I doing here? It's interesting because I wrote this a couple of months ago now, so it's interesting kind of seeing it with fresh eyes. I can remember most of it, or at least the gist. Now, the reason why I kind of want the code to look dapper, and we could move this kind of thing down here, but it's going to confuse the shit out of anyone that hasn't seen Rust before. So that's like a forward declaration if you've ever kind of, like I think people might get, mostly will get that. Let's find out. Right, yeah. So I'm just going to respond because it's quite a good comment about Ada looking ugly for various things. Like, yeah, if you want to play with the devil, like you've got to pay the tax, and we're not Faust, so we can't sell our soul, but we're going to have to sacrifice a little bit of aesthetics in our code. Nope, typed that in the wrong window. There we go. hopefully, at least it's not a Faustian bargain in the same way. You shouldn't really be incurring technical debt. He hopes. I mean, maybe things like arbitrary gotos are technical debt, but it's the stupid thing about Goto, and the funny thing, well, stupid. It's kind of a meta comment, just saying that people can actually implement their own operations here. So one of the things that is really sad, actually, when you write these examples, is you don't get to put the whole example in the book. You only get to put. Let me explain what I mean. I had to write the whole code before I had started writing the chapter. And then I had to write the chapter and build up or construct all of its contents such that by the time we got to the full example, you knew all the rust that you encountered within a page limit of, let's say, like 30 pages. Because honestly, who has time to read like a 90-page thing when you're actually trying to get trying to learn stuff, and like lots of pages like naturally intimidating. And so my original implementation of this, I played with it a lot. So my turtle could, like, it had knight's moves in there as well, or and so that was quite fun. But I had to pull them all out, and so you end up with these little snippets, like, feel free to experiment yourself. And whenever I read an academic text or a text written by an academic who said, the exercise is left to the reader, I always thought that it must have meant that, did they themselves? Like, they're kind of scummy. Like, I'm not a huge fan of that, but you know what? For my own stuff, I definitely did all the exercises. Now I need to actually change it to a 9. And yeah, absolutely, it was hilarious. So, and to mention the 90-page chapter, because there were 2 cases when my first draft for, I think it was chapter 5, and at least, there was 2 chapters, but one of them was definitely chapter 5. Chapter 5 got to well over 100. And that was a killer. Like, that was a ridiculously difficult thing to do. And because that as you're getting there and you're just writing more and more content, because you've got more and more things to explain, no one's going to read it. So you have to rewrite it anyway. So yeah, it sucks. Down here on the left, you'll see that I have all of my, like, all these chapter 5 things. The chapter 1s and stuff is less important. This is where I started when I started the stream today. I said, look, hey, I've fucking written this chapter 1 introduction like 30 times now. I'm so over it. But every time I write something that's kind of good but didn't quite fit in there, I pulled it out. And so these are basically blog post drafts. Chapter 5 was such a nightmare. I have over 100,000 100,000 words that didn't make it into the book. Yeah, it's absolutely infuriating. Now, so I'm just going to change more. The reason why this is doubly slow, apart from the fact that I'm dawdling because I'm talking, is the latency between a key press and it appearing on the screen is probably a good second. It is quite frustrating. Okay, so feel free, by the way, if you have any questions at all, just to throw them into the Twitch chat. I've got it open, and it is actually nice to have some interesting divisions. I know that I am here for work, but actually maybe it's a little bit like you've got some horrible job to do. If you're with someone, you know that you're part of a team. It is a little bit less tedious. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to keep talking, and if you have questions, just ask them. I would absolutely be thrilled to answer anything, preferably related to the actual text I have. Talking about right now, but hey, I guess it's not super necessary. Uh-oh. Multi-line editing. By the way, sorry for not keeping it PG-13, but I'm from New Zealand, so I tend to swear quite a lot around my friends. So, and everyone hanging out here, I guess I'm considering a friend in kind of weird cyberspacey type way. Okay, so we are getting very close to finishing getting these callouts in the right place. So if you've kind of just joined up, the reason why I'm mucking around, taking all the comments out, is that a Manning policy is that there are no comments in the source code. Now that may strike you as odd, but if you read any of Manning's books, and I encourage you to do so, what you'll find is that they have this wonderful production system or they have this wonderful approach to annotations where they will actually get someone to draw lines and like call outs and so forth, and do it in a really attractive way. Adding source code comments into text is faster, but isn't quite as polished. And what they're trying to do here, what I'm trying to do is appease Manning's production team. So as you work with a publisher, they'll all have their own rules about how the source code will be formatted. I think I'll go down to here, so I'm just going to save this guy. Right, okay, good. Okay, so I'm still really upset in a way. So we've done that. That's useful. I feel closer to completion. Hooray. It was an essential component of getting it done. I really would like... I don't know if I can get it up on the stream. Actually, Actually, I think I might be able to. If I do this... I will... Oh, that's the wrong thing. what I'm going to try and do is load up the rendered chapter and show you the pictures that we produce, because I think they're kind of fun. Now I just need to pull that away. Hopefully my computer won't give up. Now, the chapters that the PDFs that I produce are not the chapters that that you'll see in the MEEP, because basically I run them myself and create them. So now that normally takes much less time. Yes, because we're live. Okay, so what we're doing there is I'm running a ASCII.doc processor, which actually understands the process of being able to convert plain text into PDF. It's applying a bunch of extensions, so this ARMI and it's knitting together all of the chapters, as you can see. What you can't see probably is how close to burning my computer is. Now, oops. I wonder what will happen if I do this actually. Just double check that I've got it in there. Okay, yep, so I would just chapter 10, 2019. I see that I have a small version. Oh, that is the optimization pass, which is what Ghostscript did. Is that? Oh yeah, okay, that's cute. Sorry if I'm mucking around a bit. I will stop shortly. I'm just going to see what happens there. If it's going to open up in a browser, and if it does, I will. Oh, we're going to do it itself because it is a browser. Oh no, it's the. Of course, it's the internals of PDF. So thanks, VS Code. That's useful. Right. Okay, so how do I can open this thing in a way that I can actually display it to the people who are watching? Oh, goodness gracious. See, the viewer count has gone from a peak of 7 all the way down to 4. So clearly I've been entertaining. Come on. I apologize sincerely for my delay. For some reason, I'm going to run htop to find out my computer is cooking. I guess it's because I'm running multiple things. Even htop is taking 10 seconds to load. It's not a good sign. Oh, goodness me. Okay, oh, there we go. Okay, so I've got 6 cores in this thing, 2 of which, oh no, 1 of which is cooking at 100%, and I'm consuming 10 gigs of RAM. So, awesome. Let's try and find this PDF. Sorry, I'm just sorry if the screen is looking particularly boring for you. I really want to get my logo interpreter shown because I was really, really proud of it. I thought this was a really cool thing to do. And oh, okay. So let's. So I found it, and I will shut that down. Probably I'm blowing up the stream. I can't actually see what you can see. I'll just over here. Goodness me, it's all kind of turning to custard slightly. Am I? Oh gosh. Okay, so that's still happily sending data. That's useful. I will change. Okay. I'm just going to transition. Oh, hello, there I am. Now, so the here's the rendered chapter, and just so that this was the SVG that we produce. Oh, and the reason why it's kind of fun and kind of cute is it does something kind of trivial, which is generate a unique representation of a SHA, like a hex value. And so that my thinking was that, you know, if I wanted to create an avatar that was based on your name, but I want it to be thematically similar to the ones that you've already done, but yeah, you know, everyone's their own little snowflake. Like, let's create snowflakes. And so this is the SHA 256 of Rust in action, displayed as a diagram, is interpreted by my logo interpreter. So this chapter takes you through the process of interpreting hexadecimal as instructions to move left, right, or go home, and then to like add the distances and so forth in that as well. And I had so much fun writing this, and just to confirm that we are together with this, you know, we're well, actually, there's a problem. Potentially, I may need to change that so that we don't. The word wrapping is highly frowned upon. One of the reasons why the formatting is typically 2 spaces in most of the book is that I've been told to keep everything to the left. This is the big block of code that we were working on just before, and what you'll see is everything has been rendered with these nice callouts, and they refer back to things that were multiple pages prior, but nevertheless, all work, because once the production team has got it, they will take this and draw an arrow here and then insert the text inside of a bubble, and it will all kind of look lovely. Cool. Okay, so where are we at? I'm going to push. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Transition back to the code, so that's kind of useful, I suppose. What I might do, sort of hitting an hour, or coming up to, I might sort of knock off, or no, maybe we'll open these up for questions, perhaps. So I'm going to refresh my browser because it looks like that one froze. And if you've got any questions or any of the stuff that we've talked about, throw them in the chat. I might call it there on the writing because my brain's a little bit fried. It's only sort of 9 o'clock, which is when I started the other streams for the last couple of nights. But it's kind of, I guess this is an endurance battle. If anyone wants to hang out, they probably can, but yeah, sorry, I'm just a little bleh. Okay, it looks like we're not getting any questions with... I've really enjoyed everyone's attention, or I've been ridiculously surprised by the fact that we haven't had approximately 0 people hanging out. It's been really nice to receive questions and feedback. Do continue to interact, and I'd be delighted to answer any of your kind of more general Rust questions if you have any. I'm kind of all here for my reader base. One of the reasons why I'm doing these streaming things is that I am really, really keen on the idea of making Rust more accessible. And it's presented as a very hard to learn language, and I don't believe that's true. I think that it's big, but not necessarily overly complex. Well, actually, there are some definite complexities in there, but I'm hopeful that Rust in Action has one tiny small part to play in easing that burden for people. And again, I've been super impressed with how many people have attended. That I'm probably gonna take a break, and I will see you later. Okay, ciao, bye.